G'day guys, and welcome to the first episode of the Mining Store podcast series. For those of you who don't know about Mining Store, we were essentially founded in order to bridge the gap for Australian investors who are looking to enter into the cryptocurrency market. We predominantly focus on mining rigs, which is a source of passive income within the cryptocurrency industry. And we've also placed a lot of emphasis on educating our clients on the cryptocurrency space and how to take advantage of it. Today, we're going to be going into pretty much how I got into cryptocurrency, what it was that caught my attention, and what I liked about the industry. So let's get straight into it. All right, so I suppose the first kind of exposure that I had to the cryptocurrency market was when I was working in banking around about back in 2016. And I'd have clients come in and they would like to, transfer a small amount of money. It might be $150 or $250 overseas. Often it might be for, a relative's birthday who was living abroad, or simply they were just transferring money to pay for something, just in general. And the process within the banking industry to get that money across to an overseas bank account, it usually incurred around about a $30 fee. It could take up to a week. It was quite complicated actually filling it out from a banker's perspective. Getting the SWIFT details. Sometimes you'd have to call up the bank abroad and ask for the exact address, their SWIFT code. It really wasn't a simple process. It was quite clunky, expensive, and it took a lot of time. And so I started to obviously explore a couple of, there had to be a solution as to how we can do this a bit cheaper, faster, and have less errors and less third parties involved, really. And one of my clients came in and he asked me, have you heard about cryptocurrency? And I understood what Bitcoin was. I'd thought about buying it. I was mining it a little bit back when I was in high school. So, I was familiar with it, but I hadn't really, found a use case for it or a real reason to get involved with it. And he was telling me about a coin called Ripple. And Ripple essentially is a coin that targets exactly the issue that I was facing within the banking sector. It's breaking down the need for third parties like the bank to actually facilitate those transactions and rather capitalize on the use of blockchain and decentralizations to get these currencies across overseas or even statewide. And so I went home and I did a bit of research. I downloaded some software, went online and pretty much just got involved on the cryptocurrency space. I bought a couple of Bitcoins and I put the theory to test. So I went to transfer some funds to one of my previous colleagues who was living in the UK at the time. And I was blown away by how fast the transaction was, how cheap the transaction was. I actually did the transfer on a weekend. Banks aren't usually open on weekends in Australia. And so that's really where this kind of passion for cryptocurrency and blockchain technology started for me. Just a really simple process that, for years has been clunky and expensive. And finally, I kind of realized that there was actually technology available in our day and age that could help me and other people around the world break down some of these simple barriers that need to be changed. So from there, I suppose I got a little bit more involved and started reading on forums online and really educating myself as to what other industries could be impacted by cryptocurrency. And one of the major ones for me, and this is probably the point that I started thinking about getting into this more full time, was the supply chain industry. And this kind of example really blew me away. So I was doing some reading into a company called VeChain and some of the technology that they were adopting. They were pretty much, revolutionizing the supply chain. And basically what they were doing is putting sensors onto, this is just an example, but say, for example, you had some perishable goods and they were being shipped from Indonesia into Australia. And along that supply chain, the courier, or whether it was the company who was producing the goods, they were constantly being broken or damaged or not cooled properly along that supply chain. And of course, each party within that supply chain points the finger at each other and says, no, it was the shipping company, it wasn't the courier. Or, it's hard to actually distinguish who was responsible for damaging those goods along the way. And the solution to that was by, rather than using a database which is centralized to track those goods, you can use a decentralized database, also known as a blockchain, to track these goods. And basically, the way that the blockchain does this is you put sensors on those goods, and then those sensors report on a time-based chronological time scale to a blockchain. So no one actually owns that blockchain. It's nodes around the whole world that actually facilitate these transactions. It's not humans, or it's not an owned database that someone can go into and change. It's simply put on the blockchain, and then if something happened to those goods, the sensors would report to the blockchain, and you'd be able to go back on a time basis, chronological basis, and go, at 6 o'clock yesterday, this is when the goods were damaged, who was responsible for those goods at the time. And this kind of really blew me away. I was thinking that there's a lot of other industries out there who could benefit from blockchain technology. I started to look more into cryptography and how they keep, if these blockchains are decentralized and there's not one party who's necessarily controlling it, how do they actually keep these blockchains secure? And so you get into a little bit more on cryptography and the technology behind it all. But from I suppose a theory base, that's really what captured me. I suppose starting from banking and then doing a little bit more research into supply chain. And from there, there's a whole heap of industries that are really being revolutionized by this technology. You've got the privacy industry, obviously using the use case of cryptography and keeping messaging services, such as there's a project out there, which is a Melbourne-based project called Loki. Very big fans of Loki. They've built like a private messaging service, which is decentralized, rather than being owned by a company such as WhatsApp. Who, if they were, I suppose, subpoenaed for the data, they would have to give that up. When it's decentralized, you can't really subpoena data because no one technically owns that. So there's a lot of different use cases of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency that got me involved. Admittedly, so I probably got most involved with in the 2017 hype, as a lot of people did. When coin prices were just flying through the roof, you pretty much could pick one, buy anything, and you were going to make money out of it, I suppose. That obviously tumbled over, and I suppose that's where a lot of bad stigma for this industry came from. People got burnt because they didn't really know what they were buying into. And a lot of that really rich value of blockchain decentralization, cryptography was left behind, and it was a bit tarnished. And I don't think it's until now that people are really starting to realize, hold on, that was just a bit of a hype phase and people were burnt. But overall, the underlying technology is still there, and the benefits of that technology are still flourishing. So I suppose that's all for podcast today, is just a little bit of an introduction as to how I got involved with cryptocurrency and what really drew me in, I suppose. There's a lot more to understand in this industry and how it's going to, I suppose, revolutionize the current system that we live in. But yeah, absolutely, there's going to be more information coming out through these podcasts. Stay tuned. If anyone has any recommendations on, I suppose, things that they've seen in the media, it might be about LibraCoin and Facebook, or any questions that you want to ask, shoot them through. It'll help with creating future content. Otherwise, I'm pretty much just going to be giving everyone a bit of a taste of the industry from the inside. Probably the Mining Store's biggest asset is our community. It's run through a Discord channel. If anyone's used something like Slack before or have been on online forums before, that's pretty much where we talk on a daily basis. There's around about 500 members in there that we've built up over the years. Some amazing people in there. You can learn a whole heap about the cryptocurrency industry in there. You'll hear about different coins that are coming up with different news events. Obviously mining equipment, as I said, that's pretty much Mining Store's focus is passive incomes through mining equipment. So yeah, get involved with that, guys. I'll leave a link in the description below where you can join the Discord channel. It is a paid membership. It's $30 per month. There's not a single member in there that won't tell you that it's absolutely worth the investment there. $30 obviously isn't a lot, and obviously getting a taste of this new industry coming up and being kept up to date with it on a daily basis, we obviously feel is invaluable. So yeah, get involved with the Discord community, guys. Keep listening out for these podcasts. Send me through any questions or any topics that you want me to cover, and I'm looking forward to getting everyone involved.